We've been telling you about the new energy agreement, the memorandum of understanding signed by Alberta and Ottawa, which aims to get one or more private sector constructed and financed pipelines in this country. Saskatchewan has been involved in behind-the-scenes discussions on this, and the Premier, Scott Moe, joins us now with his reaction. Premier, thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much, Marilla.
Can you expand at all on your role in discussions that led up to this memorandum of understanding?
Well, largely, supportive of finding our way. First and foremost, I think to a table where we can collaborate from a provincial to a federal level, which really hasn't been that possible the last decade. In particular, when it comes from some of the prairie provinces and our federal government, and so to find that collaborative, that positive tone, to find that change in tone, quite frankly, so that this conversation can even happen, and so that the provinces can work very closely with the federal government to support the development of our industry, so that we can become, as the Prime Minister has aspired, a global energy superpower, and to create one of the strongest economies in the G7 nation. This is part of diversifying some of our production away from the United States of America, and it certainly is good for all Canadians moving forward. So very much an advocate, supportive. Credit to Prime Minister Carney, credit to Premier Smith for the hard work that they've done to find our way to today.
The Premier of Alberta spoke to us today and said she pretty much got everything on her list. She seems pretty happy. How would you characterize those discussions? Were they fairly straightforward? Was it easy to get to an agreement?
No, it took a lot of give and take, and that's why I say credit to, in this case, Prime Minister Carney, Premier Smith, and others as well, in really being open to being able to identify where we agree and where we can move forward, where we maybe have some challenges, and whether or not there's some opportunities for us to move forward. These are the decisions and the opportunities that we have as Canadians to determine our own destiny. Those discussions are not easy, and this is the first step in a lot of discussions, and some of them, yes, will be quite sensitive. But this is the first step in a long list of discussions that will really provide, I think, the opportunity for us to expand our economy, expand our opportunity, and really, as Canadians, make decisions that determine what this nation and what role we're going to play in global trade, in the global economy, and ultimately in our own energy and food security supply chains into the future. And so I think this is a good day. A good day, not just for Western Canada or even Alberta, but a good day for all Canadians.
As you know, there's a clear call for private investment to both to build and to finance a project which will cost, billions of dollars. And I'm wondering if the changes that have been made, the changes by Ottawa to get rid of the oil and gas emissions cap that they had planned, removal of some of the greenwashing provisions, do you see that as enough to trigger private investment?
Well, we'll see. I certainly see it as a tremendous step in the right direction to start to attract that private investment, in this case, into the energy industry. It certainly, we didn't have the environment for that private investment to flow before. That's why we ended up building a taxpayer-funded pipeline in the TMX. So this certainly is a giant step forward in attracting that private investment. There may be more discussion that needs to happen. And I think it would be a shared investment, whether it be through energy companies or oil pipeline companies, or whether they be sharing that investment with communities along the route as well. And so now that those discussions can happen as to what type of environment we have now for private investment, do we need to continue to tweak it to some degree, and how do we include communities along the way in the economic opportunities that we may now be able to attain, which are above and beyond what we currently have. So, as I say, a good day for Canadians. Many discussions and a lot of work yet to happen. But today was a big step forward, both in the tone of discussions that we have at different levels of government between industry, and a big step forward in determining our own destiny as to what our nation is going to look like in the next number of generations.
Premier, what does Saskatchewan get out of this?
Oh, certainly, Saskatchewan will have we will have some oil that ultimately would be in a line like this, and so we advocate very directly on behalf of our oil producers that up in the northwestern part of our province that would be able to access some of this line indirectly. And I would say not just Saskatchewan, but all of Canada will benefit from a lower basis, which means a higher oil price. Indirectly, we'll benefit from more egress capacity into the U.S., which is largely where Saskatchewan's oil does find its way. Indirectly, we will benefit from a higher efficiency in the port operations and the port capacity that we have on the West Coast. And we ship 70% of our products out the West Coast to Asian and European markets and around the world. And we, continually have to work on the ability for us to increase our port capacity, our rail capacity out that West Coast. And so anytime that you can get a product like oil in a pipeline rather than on a train, it's going to increase our export capacity. So directly and indirectly, Saskatchewan can be a huge beneficiary, but I would say also are all Canadians. The bottom line of the federal budget will be have a stronger revenue line. Provincial budgets will have stronger revenue lines, as well as the opportunities to access these global markets for not just oil, but other products is going to be greatly increased. So as I say, credit to the folks that have changed the tone in the provincial national government's conversations in this space. This is a good day for us as Canadians.
I do want to get to this. The BC Premier, as you know, not on board. He's had a lot to say about this lately. Here's what he had to say a short time ago. We'll listen to this and I'll get your response.
The pipeline proposal has no project proponent. There is not one private company that has stepped up to say, if you build it, we'll buy it. If the approvals are in place, we'll build it. Not one. It has no route. Currently, taxpayers, through the Trans Mountain Pipeline Corporation, are funding the development of the route. Not only does it not have permits, it doesn't even have a route. But the third thing it doesn't have is something that the Prime Minister said he believed was core in the House, in the federal Parliament just recently, that First Nations agree and support projects before they will go forward through the Major Projects Office. And this project does not have the support of coastal First Nations.
Okay, so Premier, it will need Indigenous support. A lack of consultation got the Northern Gateway Pipeline project scrapped. So how will this be managed?
Well, I would say largely it was actually federal regulations that not only scrapped the Northern Gateway Pipeline, but also scrapped the Energy East Pipeline as well. And what we've seen today is a commitment on a number of levels, but part of that from the federal government is to right-size some of those regulations to make projects like this possible with private sector funding. Premier Eby, and I understand his perspective on things. I may not agree with all of it, but I do understand his perspective on a number of these pieces. What you will see, I think, in the days and months and years ahead is that you will see the private sector start to become interested in projects just like this, whether it be one of the two or three various pipelines that are being discussed here today. A route will be found, and as that route will be found, you will see engagement with communities, in particular Indigenous communities along the way. There will be partnerships, not approvals per se, but partnerships that certainly can be formed. Partnerships with economic opportunities for people that live in those communities. We've seen this very parallel work done in northern Saskatchewan in various sectors of the mining industry, where there are partnerships between the mining sector and local communities that are providing very real opportunities in very good careers for individuals that are living in those communities. And in fact, I would say that in Canada, that is a requirement of responsible projects moving forward, is that they are creating the environment for those partnerships that have very real benefits for people that live in the areas where these projects are taking place. That is the ethical way for industries to do business. And I think they most certainly realize that. So I think there's going to be some, challenging discussions ahead, but some exciting discussions for many communities, along any potential route for this particular project.
All right. Scott Moe, Premier of Saskatchewan, sir, thank you very much for sharing some of your time today.